Good day. As you know, you have a new elective paper called An Introduction to Cultural Studies. Now, some of you may already be familiar with cultural studies, but some might be wondering what is this strange beast? Don't worry, I've tried to make a very basic presentation which will hopefully give you an understanding of what exactly is cultural studies. It is not very easy to define cultural studies. One could say that it defies definition itself. But for the sake of convenience and for practical purposes, here is a definition given by the Encyclopedia Britannica. It defines cultural studies as an interdisciplinary field concerned with the role of social institutions in the shaping of culture. The origins of cultural studies can be traced to the setting up of the Birmingham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies, also called the BCCS, at the University of Birmingham in 1964. The founder of the center was Richard Hogarth, who also functioned as the first director of the center. Hogarth's intention was to study mass culture as opposed to the study of high culture that had dominated academia till then. The Birmingham Center operated at the intersections of literary criticism, sociology, history, and anthropology. The main themes and concerns of cultural studies can be seen here. First of all, cultural studies looks at culture as a set of meaning making practices. So, culture is not just merely high culture, but any set of ordinary social practices which have meaning in themselves. So, just by engaging in these practices, we are participating in meaning making. So, we are making meaning by reading, by watching cinema, by watching television, by chatting on the internet, etc. All these are meaning making practices. Then there is a shift in focus from the study of elite or high culture, such as uh, traditional literature, painting, fine arts, dance, music, etc., which there is classical dance, classical music, all those things. Those were considered to be elite culture or high culture. So that those were considered the those were considered the domains of study in traditional literary studies or fine arts and other subjects. But in cultural studies, we have a shift away from such high culture to the popular or mass culture, which also means that we study industrially produced cultural forms such as cinema, television, radio, popular magazines, and nowadays even digital culture. Next, there is a focus on everyday life and its practices. So, the ordinary practices and the things that we do on an everyday basis as part of our ordinary life, these are also studied, like food habits, dress styles, behavior, language, ordinary practices like listening to music, watching television, etc. etc. Then while studying all these things, there is a focus on the ways in which power and authority are exercised in cultural practices. So, what are the ways in which power and authority are exercised when we practice these activities? And another important aspect of cultural studies is the focus on representation and identity. So, cultural studies focuses on the marginalized. It looks at issues of caste, class, gender, religion, community, race, etc. And it also looks at how such sections have been represented in the kind of texts that we are studying. Cultural studies, as we said, originated in Britain, and as I said, at the center, at the Birmingham Center, and some of the eminent scholars in British cultural studies included Richard Hoggart, whom we have already discussed, then E.P. Thompson, Raymond Williams, Stuart Hall, Paul Willis, Angela McRobbie, Paul Gilroy, David Morley, Charlotte Brunson, Richard Dyer, and many others. Many of these scholars in British cultural studies, now all of them are not necessarily associated with the Birmingham Center, some were, and some were students or PhD scholars at that center but later moved on to other institutions. But the superstructure and that of the political economy, that is the base. So, if you remember your Marxism, you will remember that the economic base is supposed to determine the cultural superstructure. So, this was the idea that many of these British cultural studies scholars initially worked with, and they were influenced by the work of Marxist scholars like Louis Althusser and later Antonio Gramsci. But by the 1970s, the focus on class was complicated by the questions of gender and race, which were raised by many later generation or newer generation or younger generation scholars. For example, Angela McRobbie, who complicated the discussions of youth subcultures in studies done by the Birmingham Center by pointing out that most of those studies focused on young men and what about young women, and she tried to raise the issue of young women and how to study their youth cultures or youth subcultures. And Paul Gilroy, who raised the question of race in terms of rather than looking at national subcultures or subcultures in Britain versus subcultures in America or things like that, which was again something that the early scholars of Birmingham were doing. Paul Gilroy suggested that we should look at things like how does blackness or race work and what are the connections between race and cultural production or cultural consumption on both sides of the Atlantic. So he had these important works like the Black Atlantic and There Ain't No Black in the Union Jack. So these were works using which Gilroy questioned the early Birmingham schools works by bringing in the element of race. These are some examples of important early works in British cultural studies by Raymond Williams, E.P. Thompson, and Paul Willis. And these are some of the later works from 1980s onwards by Dick Hebdige, Angela McRobbie, Paul Gilroy, and Richard Dyer. Now moving on to cultural studies in America, one could say that cultural studies gained a form in America with the founding of the journal Cultural Studies by John Fiske in 1987. John Fiske had initially founded a version of this journal in Australia, and later he brought it to America, and many people consider that as the founding moment or foundational moment of cultural studies in America. Now, there are some differences between cultural studies in Britain and in America. In America, cultural studies focused more on the subjective and appropriative aspects of the consumption of mass culture, which is to say that they critiqued the rigid determinism of the Marxist model, which assumed a single dominant meaning shared by all for any cultural product. So, as I had mentioned earlier, the British cultural studies scholars looked at cultural consumption as determined by the economic base, which is also to say that your class interests determine how you will consume a particular cultural product. So if you are an elite person, you will consume in a particular way, in a way that is conducive to your class interests, to maintaining the status quo in society. Whereas if you are a working class person or if you're a lower class person, then you will not have the same kind of interest in consuming that particular product, but you will instead perhaps be forced to consume it passively. So these were some of the implications of the early British cultural studies method, even though even in Britain later these ideas were complicated. But in American cultural studies, this was completely thrown aside, and they criticized the notion of a passive consumer. They said that consumer is not a passive person. The consumer is not forced to consume in a particular way. The pattern of consumption is not determined by economic conditions, but rather each person can consume in a very subjective way. So the same film, one person, a man may see it in a particular way, a woman may see it in a different way. A white person and a black person may see it in different ways. An upper class person and a working class person may see it in different ways. So subjective aspects were given more focus, and also appropriative aspects, which is to say that a consumer who consumes a particular product is not necessarily buying into the ideology of capitalism. It is not like we are consuming it in a mindless fashion, but we might be appropriating that particular cultural product or object in our own way, and we may consume it in our own different way, and the very consumption itself can be perhaps a rebellion or at least a different way of dealing with the social structure. Even some British scholars of cultural studies who later moved to America became highly influential in this strand of cultural studies. Stuart Hall and Paul Gilroy were examples of British cultural studies scholars who moved to America at certain points of their career and became very influential there. Now to move on to cultural studies in India. Now this is not a very deeply documented history, and there are very different perspectives on the origins of cultural studies. Two important perspectives are given here. First one, there is an idea that cultural studies in India arises from the social sciences, particularly through the work of historians who worked as part of the subaltern studies collective. And you may be aware of some of these subaltern studies scholars like Ranjit Guha, Partha Chatterjee, Gyan Pandey, Shahid Amin, Dipesh Chakrabarti, etc. Their work as part of the Subaltern Studies Collective was highly influential on the formation of cultural studies in India, and some people even say that the Subaltern Studies movement or Subaltern Studies group was can be considered harbingers of cultural studies in India. So early cultural studies work in India, we can consider subaltern studies to be early cultural studies work in India. That is one perspective. A different perspective would be to say that cultural studies arose not necessarily from the social sciences, but from literary studies, from the discipline of English literature specifically, when the traditional literary texts and the ways of learning those texts were challenged by the rise of the feminist movement, Dalit movement, etc. So when these kind of identity-based movements came into literary studies in the 1980s and 90s especially, and the impact of many far-ranging social changes in India, such as the introduction of reservation in higher education after the Mandal Commission report, that was also in 1990s, the liberalization of the Indian economy again in 1991, and also the demolition of the Babri Masjid by right-wing Hindu groups in early 90s. So these are all far-ranging social changes, and some people consider that the effects of those changes in literary studies led to the rise of cultural studies. And this particular strand of cultural studies was influenced specifically, or was interested specifically in matters of representation and identity, whereas the notion of cultural studies as arising from subaltern studies or from social sciences was much more invested in Marxism and the works of Marxists like Althusser, Gramsci, and also even non-Marxist scholars like Michel Foucault. These are some perspectives on the origin of cultural studies in India. Some of the important institutions where cultural studies is taught in India include the Department of Cultural Studies at the English and Foreign Languages University, or IFLU, at Hyderabad, the Center for the Study of Culture and Society, or CSCS, in Bangalore, the Center for the Study of Social Sciences, CSSS, in Kolkata, as well as cultural studies departments at various universities and institutes all over India. And there are many essays that were written in the field of cultural studies in many different journals, but one important journal that was that kind of defined some of the early days of cultural studies in India was the Journal of Arts and Ideas, which was published from Kolkata from the 1980s to the end of the 1990s. So for almost 2 decades, a lot of very interesting essays were written in this journal. And you can actually see this journal is no longer functioning, but the back issues of this journal, the archives of this journal, are available online. So if you go to Google and search for Journal of Arts and Ideas Kolkata, you will find the archives. And if you just go to each issue and take a look at the contents page, you will get a good idea of what are the kind of topics and discussions that were prevalent in the early days of, or in the most important days of cultural studies in India, especially in the 1980s and 90s. And these are some of the discussions that have gone on to define how cultural studies would be shaped later in India. So, hopefully, I have been able to give you a very brief idea about cultural studies, and I hope this was useful to you. And you can look at some of there'll be more detailed videos on YouTube and other things. We can have more discussions later, but for now, I hope this has been useful to you in getting a sense of what to expect from this paper on cultural studies. Thank you.